Have you ever wondered why smart people make terrible decisions? Why do experienced investors lose millions of dollars in the stock market? Why do people stay in unhealthy relationships even when they know they should leave? And why do we keep buying things we don't need, then regret it later? At first glance, these mistakes don't make much sense. We like to believe we're rational. We like to think we carefully analyze situations, weigh the pros and cons, and make smart choices. But what if I told you that most of your decisions are actually made by a hidden system inside your brain before you're even aware of it? What if your mind is playing tricks on you every single day? And what if understanding those tricks could dramatically improve your finances, relationships, career, happiness, and overall success? That's exactly what we're going to uncover today. The book Thinking, Fast and Slow completely changed the way people understand decision-making. It reveals why humans are far less rational than we think and explains the hidden mental shortcuts that guide our lives. The ideas in this book are so powerful that they earned its author, Daniel Kahneman, a Nobel Prize. And by the end of this summary, you'll understand why your brain makes mistakes, how those mistakes affect your life, and most importantly, how to make better decisions moving forward. Because your future isn't determined by luck. It's determined by the choices you make every day. And better thinking leads to better choices. Let's dive in. Daniel Kahneman wasn't a typical self-help guru. He was a psychologist who spent decades studying how people actually think and make decisions. For years, economists believed humans were rational creatures. According to traditional economic theory, people carefully analyzed information and always acted in their own best interests. But Kahneman discovered something shocking. People are not rational most of the time. In fact, humans make predictable mistakes over and over again. These mistakes aren't random. They're built into the way our brains work. His research completely transformed psychology, economics, business, investing, and decision-making. And eventually, his discoveries earned him the Nobel Prize in economics. The central idea of this book revolves around two systems that control your thinking. Think of them as two different characters living inside your mind. The first is called System 1. System 1 is fast. It's automatic. It's emotional. It's instinctive. When someone throws a ball toward your face and you instantly duck, that's System 1. When you recognize your friend's face in a crowd, that's System 1. When you read a simple sentence without effort, that's System 1. It's quick, effortless, and constantly active. Then there's System 2. System 2 is slow. It's logical. It's analytical. And it requires effort. When you're calculating a budget, solving a difficult math problem, comparing job offers, or planning a business strategy, you're using System 2. System 2 takes energy. And here's the important part. Your brain doesn't like using it. Your brain wants to conserve energy whenever possible. So most of the time, it lets System 1 take control. This was incredibly useful when humans lived thousands of years ago. Quick reactions helped our ancestors survive dangerous situations, but in the modern world, those same shortcuts often create problems. Imagine you're shopping online. You see a product with thousands of positive reviews. Immediately, your brain assumes it's a great purchase. You don't carefully investigate every detail. System 1 makes a quick judgment. Or maybe you see someone wearing an expensive suit driving a luxury car. Instantly, you assume they're successful. Again, System 1 jumps to conclusions. Most of the time, these shortcuts help us move through life efficiently. But sometimes they cause major mistakes. And that's where things get interesting. One of the biggest lessons from this book is that your brain loves shortcuts. Psychologists call these shortcuts heuristics. Don't worry about the fancy word. It simply means mental shortcuts. Imagine if you had to analyze every tiny decision throughout your day. What should I eat? Which route should I drive? Should I trust this person? Should I buy this product? Your brain would become exhausted. So instead, it creates shortcuts. These shortcuts save time and energy. But they also create blind spots. And some of those blind spots can cost you money, opportunities, and happiness. One powerful example is something called the halo effect. Have you ever met someone attractive and immediately assumed they were intelligent, kind, confident, and successful? That's the halo effect. Your brain notices one positive trait and automatically assumes many other positive traits exist too. This happens constantly. A celebrity becomes famous for acting. Suddenly people assume they're experts on health, politics, business, and relationships. A successful entrepreneur launches one great company. People assume every future decision they make will be brilliant. Even hiring managers fall into this trap. Someone speaks confidently during an interview. They dress well. They seem charismatic. The interviewer starts assuming they're highly competent before seeing actual evidence. The halo effect can influence dating, business, investing, and everyday life. And most people never realize it's happening. Another hidden trap is confirmation bias. This one is incredibly dangerous. Confirmation bias means we naturally look for information that supports what we already believe. Imagine someone believes a particular investment is guaranteed to succeed. Instead of searching for reasons it might fail, they spend hours reading articles that support their opinion. Or imagine someone suspects their partner doesn't care about them. Suddenly every small mistake becomes proof, every forgotten text message becomes evidence. Meanwhile, all the positive signs get ignored. Social media has made this problem even worse. Algorithms show us content we already agree with. As a result, people become trapped inside information bubbles. They stop challenging their beliefs. And growth becomes impossible. The smartest people aren't those who constantly prove themselves right. They're the people willing to admit they might be wrong. And that's much harder than it sounds. Another fascinating discovery involves overconfidence. Most people believe they're above average. Now think about that for a moment. How can most people be above average? It's mathematically impossible. Yet studies consistently show people overestimate their intelligence, driving ability, financial skills, and future success. This creates major problems. Investors become convinced they can beat the market. Entrepreneurs underestimate risks. Employees assume promotions are guaranteed. People make decisions with extreme confidence despite having limited information. The problem isn't confidence itself. Confidence is important. The problem is confidence without accuracy. When confidence grows faster than competence, mistakes become inevitable. And this leads us to one of the most powerful ideas in the entire book. Loss aversion. According to Kahneman's research, losing feels about twice as painful as winning feels good. Think about that. If someone gives you $100, you'll feel happy. But if someone takes $100 away, the pain feels much stronger. This explains countless behaviors. People stay in bad jobs because they're afraid of losing security. People remain in unhealthy relationships because they're afraid of losing familiarity. Investors refuse to sell losing stocks because they don't want to admit defeat. Loss aversion keeps people stuck. It traps them in situations they know aren't serving them. And often, the biggest opportunities in life require accepting short-term discomfort for long-term gain. The people who achieve extraordinary success learn how to manage their fear of loss. Because growth almost always requires letting go of something familiar. Now let's talk about a bias that marketers absolutely love. The anchoring effect. Imagine you walk into a store and see a jacket originally priced at $500. Now it's on sale for $199. Suddenly it feels like an incredible deal. But why? Because your brain became anchored to the first number. That original $500 price created a reference point. Everything afterward gets compared to it. The same thing happens in salary negotiations, real estate pricing, car sales, and online shopping. The first number you see influences your judgment more than you realize. Companies understand this very well. And they use it every day. That's why becoming aware of anchoring can save you a tremendous amount of money.
Because once you recognize the anchor, you can start evaluating things more objectively. And now let's explore another hidden force that shapes your decisions every day without you realizing it. It's called the availability bias. And once you understand it, you'll start noticing it everywhere. Imagine you turn on the news and see several reports about airplane crashes. For the next few days, flying suddenly feels dangerous. Even though statistically, driving a car is far riskier.
Why does this happen? Because your brain judges reality based on what comes to mind most easily.
The more vivid, emotional, or memorable something is, the more important it seems.
That's availability bias. Your brain isn't asking, what do the facts say? It's asking, what examples can I remember quickly? This creates all kinds of distortions.
A person sees several videos about crime on social media and begins believing crime is everywhere. Someone hears stories about people getting rich from cryptocurrency and assumes success is common. An entrepreneur reads a few startup success stories and forgets about the thousands of businesses that quietly failed.
The problem isn't information. The problem is that our minds give too much weight to information that is easy to remember. And in today's world, where headlines compete for attention every second, that's a huge problem.
The most dramatic stories often receive the most attention.
But the most dramatic stories aren't always the most accurate representation of reality.
That's why successful decision makers rely on data, not emotions.
They ask questions.
They look for evidence. They slow down and verify assumptions.
Because what feels true isn't always true.
And this brings us to one of the most surprising lessons in the book.
Humans are terrible at predicting the future. That might sound strange. After all, experts make predictions every day. Economists predict recessions.
Analysts predict stock prices.
Business leaders predict trends. Political commentators predict elections. Yet again and again, those predictions turn out to be wrong. Why? Because the future is far more uncertain than we like to admit. People crave certainty. We want to believe we know what's coming next.
Uncertainty makes us uncomfortable. So our brains create stories that make the future seem predictable.
The problem is that reality doesn't care about our stories. Reality is complex. Unexpected events happen.
New technologies appear, markets change.
Consumer behavior shifts. Global events reshape everything overnight.
And yet people continue speaking about the future with incredible confidence. Kahneman calls this the illusion of understanding.
We look backward and create explanations for events. Then we mistakenly believe we could have predicted those events beforehand. Think about major business successes. After a company becomes successful, everyone creates stories explaining why it was obvious. But before the success happened, nobody knew for sure. The same applies to failures. Looking backward creates the illusion that outcomes were predictable. Looking forward reveals how uncertain life really is. This doesn't mean planning is useless. It means humility is essential. The smartest people understand the limits of their knowledge.
They make decisions based on probabilities rather than certainty.
Instead of saying, this will definitely happen, they say, there's a reasonable chance this could happen.
That small shift can dramatically improve decision-making.
Now let's talk about a mistake almost everyone makes. The planning fallacy. Have you ever started a project thinking it would take a week and ended up spending a month? Of course you have. Everyone has. Students underestimate assignments. Entrepreneurs underestimate startups. Authors underestimate books. Homeowners underestimate renovations. Why? Because when planning, people focus on the best-case scenario. They imagine everything going smoothly. No delays. No problems. No surprises. But reality rarely works that way. Unexpected obstacles appear. Mistakes happen. Life gets in the way.
As a result, projects take longer and cost more than expected.
Imagine someone deciding to start a business. They estimate 6 months before profitability.
But they forget about marketing challenges, customer acquisition, competition, technical problems, and countless unexpected issues.
6 months becomes 18 months. The same thing happens with fitness goals, career changes, learning new skills. Virtually every long-term project. Kahneman recommends looking outside your own situation. Instead of asking, "How long do I think this will take?" ask, "How long does this usually take for other people?" That simple question can dramatically improve your estimates. Because facts often outperform optimism. Now, after learning about all these biases, you might be wondering, what should we actually do? How can we use these lessons to make better decisions? This is where the book becomes incredibly practical. The first lesson is simple.
Slow down important decisions.
Most mistakes happen when System 1 takes control. Remember, System 1 is fast. It's emotional. It's automatic.
That's useful for routine situations. But major life decisions deserve more attention. Before making an investment, changing careers, buying a house, or entering a serious relationship, pause, give System time to work, ask questions, analyze situation, look for evidence. A few extra hours of thinking can prevent years of regret. The second lesson is to question first impressions. Your first impression might be correct, but it might not. Remember the halo effect. Just because someone appears confident doesn't mean they're competent. Just because something looks expensive doesn't mean it's valuable. Just because everyone likes an idea doesn't mean it's good. Train yourself to separate appearance from reality. The third lesson is to actively seek opposing viewpoints. This is one of the most powerful habits successful people develop. Don't just look for information that supports your beliefs, look for information that challenges them. If you're excited about an investment, search for reasons it might fail. If you're convinced you're right during an argument, honestly consider the other side. Growth happens when beliefs are tested, not when they're protected. The fourth lesson is to use data instead of emotions whenever possible. Emotions are important, but they're not always reliable. Fear exaggerates danger. Excitement exaggerates opportunity. Anger clouds judgment. Whenever possible, combine feelings with facts. Ask yourself, what evidence supports this decision? What evidence contradicts it? What do the numbers say? Facts often reveal what emotions hide. The fifth lesson is to think in probabilities. Life is rarely black and white. Most outcomes aren't guaranteed. Successful decision makers understand uncertainty. They think in terms of likelihood rather than certainty. This creates flexibility. And flexibility creates resilience. The sixth lesson is to avoid impulsive purchases. Marketers understand human psychology extremely well. They use anchors, urgency, social proof, discounts, scarcity, all designed to trigger System 1. Before making a major purchase, wait. Give yourself time. Often the excitement disappears and clearer thinking takes its place. The seventh lesson is to write important decisions down. This sounds simple, but it's incredibly effective. Write down what you believe. Write down why you believe it. Write down what outcome you expect. Months later, review your prediction. You'll quickly discover where your thinking was accurate and where it wasn't. This habit creates self-awareness. And self-awareness improves judgment. The eighth lesson is to learn from mistakes without becoming discouraged. Everyone makes bad decisions. Everyone falls victim to biases. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is progress. Each mistake contains valuable information. Every poor decision can become a lesson. And every lesson makes future decisions stronger. As we approach the end of this summary, let's step back and look at the big picture. The central message of thinking, fast and slow, is surprisingly simple. Your mind is powerful. But it's not perfect. You have two systems operating inside your brain. System 1 is fast, automatic, emotional, and efficient. System 2 is slower, more thoughtful, more analytical, and more accurate. Most of the time, System 1 runs the show. And that's where many mistakes begin. We jump to conclusions. We become overconfident. We fear losses. We trust first impressions. We seek information that confirms our beliefs. We make predictions that feel certain but aren't, and yet, once you understand these mental traps, something remarkable happens. You start noticing them. You catch yourself before making impulsive decisions. You become more thoughtful,
more patient,
more aware, and awareness is the first step toward wisdom, because better thinking creates better decisions.
Better decisions create better habits. Better habits create better results. And better results create a better life. Think about how different
your future could look if you made just a few smarter decisions every year.
A better investment. A better relationship. A better career move. A better use of your time. Small decisions compound, just like money. And over time, those decisions shape your entire life.
That's why understanding how your mind works is one of the most valuable skills you can ever develop.
Because when you improve your thinking, you improve everything connected to it. Your finances, your relationships, your confidence, your opportunities, your future. Remember this powerful lesson from Daniel Kahneman.
The mind is not a flawless machine.
It's a tool.
And like any tool, it works better when you understand how it operates. So the next time you're about to make an important decision, pause.
Slow down. Question your assumptions. Look at the evidence. Think carefully.
And give System 2 a chance to do its job.
Because your future is shaped by the decisions you make every day. The better you understand how your mind works, the better your life becomes.
If you enjoyed this summary, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments.
What was the biggest lesson you learned from thinking fast and slow? And let me know in the comments, what was your biggest takeaway from thinking fast and slow?
Remember, better thinking leads to better decisions, and better decisions create a better life.
Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.